guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Unique Queen, and today guys, I hope you guys are having a beautiful, wonderful, blessed day. If not, I'm sending good energy and vibes your way. Guys, I am super excited as we are in Selma, Alabama with Mr. Columbus Mitchell that is going to be giving us some history and background on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, which he has a uncle, actually I believe two uncles that was there present that day on Bloody Sunday, guys. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into this video. I hope you enjoy it just as much as I enjoyed creating this content for you. Hey, what's your name, sir? And you can introduce yourself with a brief introduction.
My name is Columbus Mitchell. I'm actually born and raised here in Dallas County.
Okay.
Selma is the seat of Dallas County. And of course, I come out here every day and I actually tell people about the history of the bridge. And of course, having an uncle that was involved in it, this is personal for me. So I love to share it because oftentimes history is often watered down and it's not really told accurately. So I feel almost obligated to tell it the way it should be told.
Yes, sir. Okay, so what would you like to tell us? Give us a little bit of background about your ancestor that, yeah.
Uncle, I had two uncles. Actually, one was unsung. His name was Willie Gardner.
Okay.
He was actually on this bridge on Bloody Sunday. Of course, he had served in the Korean War. When he came back from the Korean War, he said, not expecting the heroes, but he wasn't that naive. But he thought at least it'd be treated with dignity. But he said when he got back here to Selma, not only he had to go to the back of the bus, he found it hard to believe, but he said he had to go to the back of the businesses just to get service. The worst part of it all that he could not vote. So in 1963, you may have heard of the bombing of the church in Birmingham, 16th Street, where those 4 little girl was killed. My uncle said he ripped his heart out. And of course, he said he really wasn't a fan of being nonviolent, but for the first time he began to contemplate joining the movement. The one issue he had with being nonviolent is that when he went to Korea, he said, I have to kill people that I didn't know, that hadn't done anything to me to defend this country. And now I'm back here, and now he want me to be submissive and nonviolent.
Wow.
And luckily, he said a guy by the name of Dr. Bernard Lafayette. Dr. Bernard Lafayette was a SNCC worker. For short, they call it SNCC, SNCC. It stood for Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Well, Dr. Bernard Lafayette came to Selma, but most people didn't want to come to Selma. Selma was a very volatile place for black people back in the 60s. In fact, there was a widespread saying that the whites were too mean and the blacks were too afraid. But Dr. Bernard Lafayette came anyway. Now, he didn't come roaring like a lion. He came very quietly. He connected with these people called the Courageous Eight. The Courageous Eight was famous here in Selma because they was unlike most blacks here. They didn't reside on white employment. They had their own business. The most famous of the Courageous Eight was a lady by the name of Amelia Von Robinson. You remember this iconic image in 2015 when President Obama came here and he built He was pulling an old lady across in a wheelchair. And she held his hand. That's her. She lived to be 110 years old. She moved from Savannah, Georgia to Tuskegee in 1929. She moved to Selma. When she moved to Selma, only about 8 black people had the right to vote. And she had been protesting at the early age of 8 years old with her grandmother, so fighting was in her blood. She was tall, she was regal, she was beautiful, she was fearless. And of course, she actually started registering people to vote right away. And of course, she didn't go unscathed. Some local white came to her place of business and they attacked her and her husband, Samuel Bolton. But again, she was fearless and she continued to protest. And she started the Dallas County Voting League. Another one of the Courageous Eight was a guy by the name of F.D. Reese. He was actually one of the first Courageous Eight to actually start president of the Dallas County Voting League. Then there was Ernest Doyle. There was people like Dr. Hunter, Mr. Gildersleeve, Mr. Blackman, the Real Foster. All these people made it the Courageous Eight. So Dr. King, Dr. Bernard Lafayette consulted with them to learn to lay the land. Once he learned to lay the land, that's when he actually began to teach the principles of nonviolence. Where he taught it at? He taught it at a church called Brown Chapel AME Church. That was the headquarters of the movement. That's where Bloody Sunday, the march started there, Turnaround Tuesday, and the final march in Montgomery. All started there. And of course, he went there and he sent out flyers inviting people to come. And my uncle said he received one of those flyers. My uncle's about 6'8", 6'10", almost, big guy, all muscles. And of course, he said that when he first received the flyers, that he really had no expectation. He just went there because he was invited. But once there, he said, it was a 3-day seminar that he began to learn these principles of nonviolence, that they were so powerful that he began to embrace them. That he found them to be so powerful that not only did he embrace them, but rather they convicted his heart. And then only then he began to employ them with his wife, with his kids, with his everyday life, and they helped him de-escalate conflict. And so only then he decided to march. And I remember being only 10 years old when I asked my uncle, I said, Uncle Willie, how bloody was it on that bridge? Was it as bloody as you guys say it was? Pretty arrogant for a 10-year-old to ask me. And this giant man looked at me with tears in his eyes, not with anger, but rather with empathy for me. He said, Columbus, I'm glad you asked. He said, I was one of those people that claimed to have been on the bridge, but rather, I was actually on the bridge. And he said, I remember hearing horses stepping on people's bodies. I could hear billy clubs hitting people's skull. He said, John Lewis, he lay lifeless right in front of me with brain concussion. He said, blood flowed down that street. He said, it was very bloody. And naturally, only 10 years old, hearing something so graphic, it humbled me. But not only did it humble me, but also it whet my appetite. From then on throughout my adult life, I've been learning the history, and now I have a chance to share it with people. And I'm so humbled that you care enough to come here to actually ask me these questions and allow me to share. Now, on March 7, 1965, approximately 600 people all assembled at the church called Brown Chapel AME Church. And the route they took on that infamous day was they took the street of MLK. That is actually the street the church is on. They turned into Selma Avenue, which is the third light. Then they turned into the main artery, which is called Broad Street. Now, there was an injunction that was put in place by the judge called James Harry. James Harry injunction stated that 3 or more blacks at no time could be gathered on the street together. Now, I know it sounds ridiculous, but in 65, according to my uncle and other people, that law was being strictly enforced. Also, there was an injunction that said that they could not march. But on this infamous day, my uncle said that they was led by Jose Williams, who was SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and also John Lewis, who was SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And of course, on this particular day, he said they was aware they was in breach of this injunction. But he said he had made his mind up that he was sick and tired of being sick and tired. But that day, he carried with him 3 peanut butter jelly sandwiches and 2 mason jars full of water. I guess I surmised that having a military background prepared him that he needed to be prepared. And of course, John Lewis had something about carrying an orange or something else with him. But my uncle said there was nothing that day would prepare them that they had to endure. Once they got to the pinnacle of the bridge, he said they looked over and they saw this vast sea of blue. This vast sea of blue is representing Alabama State Troopers. Now, of course, my uncle said that Wallace, the governor of Alabama, had given Al Lingo was head of the Alabama State Troopers. Wallace told Al Lingo that, Al, they must not march in Montgomery at any cost. You got to stop them. So they gave them great latitude, but not only did they give them latitude, but also emboldened them. But there was one figure they didn't take into consideration. That was Jim Clark. Jim Clark was actually the sheriff of Dallas County. He was a racist, he was a bigot, he was an intimidator, he was a terrorist. And of course, he wore his witness says never, meaning that he never believed in integration. And of course, on this particular day, he went out and randomly solicited white males and gave them honorary badges. This here is the Alabama River. On the other side of the river, underneath those arches, Jim Clark and his posse was all hidden underneath this bridge. So as my uncle on horseback, so as my uncle and his marching came across the bridge, they were oblivious. Now that road you see over there that was carved out, that road was carved out in 1938. They carved that road out because when they were building the bridge back in the 30s, they needed a supply line. So Jim Parker was positive using the same road to very quietly, very discreetly bring the horses out on their way to the marches. Now, my uncle said Jose William and John Lewis, as they made their way down on that side of the bridge, as soon as they took the bridge, it turns into Selma, S-E-L-M-O-N-T. That's the county jurisdiction. On this side of the bridge, it's called Selma, S-E-L-M-A. Now, of course, the Alabama State Troopers and county deputy had their jurisdiction. So as my uncle said, it didn't take place on the foot of the bridge like the movie portrayed us to be beat there, because I was one of the extras in the movie. But rather, it was actually beaten about another 200 yards from the bridge. Right there on the left, there's actually a colorful building that actually has a mirror there that just tell you about what he was beaten at. Well, Jim Parker was tied to very quietly, took his back road and made their way out to where the Alabama State Troopers all were. And my uncle said, as they made their way down to where the troopers were, Jose Williams spoke first. Jose Williams was SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference. You used to remember. He asked the troopers, may we have a word? That's when the troopers said there'll be no words had, that this was a lawful assembly representing an injunction by Judge James Hare, and finally that they had 3 minutes to disperse. But according to my uncle, maybe about a minute. They didn't give me 3 minutes they promised. They actually donned their gas masks and they converged on them. As they converged on them, they began to release the tear gas. So some people never experienced tear gas, so people was passing out. They continued to pursue them. And as they began to retreat back over to the city limits, would you believe that Winston Baker, and the irony of it all, he was supposed to head of public safety along with the current mayor, 37-year incumbent Joseph Edmund, that they allowed the city police to join in on the attack. So here they were retreating from violence from the Alabama State Troopers and the county deputies, only to be welcomed with more violence on this side. And as they made their way back to Brown Chapel Family Church, if you were to go there, you'll notice these apartments right in front. These apartments are called George Washington Carver homes. A lot of people that was in the march lived there. So as they began to retreat back towards those apartments, a lot of people saw them in distress. So some people was brave enough to open their doors up and they was able to flee inside. Other people fled inside of the church, Brown Chapel, AME Church. AME stand for African Methodist Episcopal Church. And my uncle said he could vividly remember those horses trying to climb the steps, trying to actually get into the sanctuary. And here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that it lasted all day. My uncle said they literally blockaded the streets on both sides and they intimidated and interrogated people. And of course, those kids that was captured between 12 and 19, some of those kids went to jail. Because it was cold, it was in March, Sheriff Clark instructed the bailiffs not to turn the heaters on. So people like my uncle and other people that was fortunate enough to actually not be arrested, heard of those kids being held in jail without any kind of heat, they brought blankets to the jail. Again, this was Sheriff Clark instructed the bailiffs, except no blankets. So those kids were held without any kind of heat until their parents later bonded them out of jail days later. But that's, unfortunately, the events of Bloody Sunday. Then I go into turnaround Tuesday, and of course the March, the 7th, Montgomery, which is all a whole other thing. It takes longer, but I want to kind of give your audience just a little preview of what it's like to actually be on the bridge that made from my uncle's eyes.
Yes, sir. And I thank you for your time in this interview. My last and my final question would be, why do you choose to stay in Selma?
All right, that's an awesome question. And, one of the things I like to share with you is that Selma is a very impoverished city, but it's still home for me. And of course, my wife and I have made a conscious decision that in order for us to make change, we have to do it for them. So if everyone leaves, then the city, and not only the city, but the state tends to basically take on something that we don't want it to. So in order to do that, we actually stay here. We actually engage ourselves in different elections, and we try to get people enthusiastic about voting. And we also try to teach the kids about the history, because the kids are going to be the future. And my uncle often said that he didn't do it for to be celebrated. He said, if you want to celebrate me, get out there and vote and keep the fight going. He said, get off my shoulders. Amelia Brown Robinson, one of the famous courageous eight, she said, get off her shoulders. So he often refers to getting off his shoulders, get out there and keep the fight going. So in a small way, I'm trying to actually get off his shoulders and trying to keep the fight going. Because right now, unfortunately, we're seen to be revisiting the 60s almost all over again here in Georgia. The state of Georgia really exemplified that with the recent passing of different bills and took short voting.
Okay, well, thank you for your time. It was definitely an honor and a pleasure. Is there anything you would like my viewers to know before we leave? Or
well, guys, if you really find it in the heart at all to be able to help us with this quest to continue to fight here and to continue to help young kids, I do have an account. It's actually there's a words escapes me at the moment, but it's actually $ Blue Sky. We call it Cash App.
Yeah.
$ Blue Sky BLUE Sky SKI 77. So that's BLUE SKI 77. Anything sent to me would be appreciated, would be humbly accepted. But definitely know that someone out here in Selma is still continuing to fight the fight, because my uncle said that if I really want to truly honor him, that I must continue to fight the legacy and keep it going. So in a way, you guys are doing it now because you guys are sharing history with people that may not know it. So I want to thank you guys for coming here and actually allowing me to speak.
No, thank you. It's our pleasure. Do you have like a Facebook or Instagram?
No, I don't subscribe to social media, but I've been told that my story has been really powerful, that maybe I perhaps need to take it to another level, and maybe for that reason I may entertain the idea of probably getting a Facebook page.
Okay.
But I kind of stayed away from Facebook and social media, but I need a platform that I've been lucky enough and fortunate enough to be able to be interviewed by different people like yourselves. And so you go to YouTube and interview Columbus Metro interview, you'll see some of my interviews that I've done.
Definitely, we will definitely check that out. I will leave a link in the description box. It was a pleasure and an honor, and I thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Okay guys, so I'm back in my vehicle. I just finished my interview with a young man that has descendants and ancestors that was on that bridge the night of Bloody Sunday here in Selma, Alabama. It was an awesome interview. I enjoyed my visit here. Very, very powerful. You can just feel the energy in the air. If you can, come and check out Selma. Again, the person that I did the interview with, I will leave a link to his Cash App as well as his YouTube down in the description box below. If you can, show him some love. Like he said, Selma is a very impoverished place. It's not a huge city. So the people that are still here that has refused to leave, they're here out of pure love, because they want their community to grow, and they love where they're from, and they know that this is a beautiful historical place, and they're on the front lines. They refuse to leave. They spread the word on the importance of voting and just changing everything. So again, guys, that was my interview on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. And it was awesome, guys. Very powerful. So I thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely, if you can get out to Selma, come and check it out. It's a really powerful experience. I recommend it for anyone. So I enjoyed this time with you guys. It was actually an awesome experience, and I love it, guys. So until next time, guys, please like, share, subscribe, comment on this video. Let me know what you thought of it. Leave me a like, guys. Also share and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Guys, I am Unique Queen. Leave me an email or send me an email at uqueen358@gmail.com if you would like to collaborate, if you have a story you want me to cover, if you would like to sponsor me, whatever, guys. If you just need someone to talk to, I'm here and I'm available. So guys, I am Unique Queen. We are the Determination Nation, guys. I love you all so much. Love yourselves more. And until next time, guys, reporting live from Selma, Alabama, I love you all so much. Love yourselves more. Please keep fighting.